Hello, namaskaram. My name is Pooja Dwivedi. Welcome to my daily current affairs class. We will understand the significant events that have happened since the past 24 hours. Not only that, how to tackle the insurmountable preliminary questions, as prelims is becoming the major hurdle in the entire exam pattern. Before I begin, I would like to inform you about 3 courses that we have launched recently, and we are closing our batches soon. So Hindi, English and Hinglish. In these 3 languages, we have launched our prelims to interview courses. For those students who want to enroll for this course, please do it ASAP, because this is a one-stop solution and we have a very lucrative discount that is going on. It's a one-stop solution. I mean, from that is that you will get prelims test series, mains test series, daily answer writing practice, current affairs compilation on a daily basis, doubt session, psychological handling, everything, even study material, a mains residential program. It's a very lucrative batch. You can enroll in this, and we have limited seats. 30th of June is the last date where we are closing our seats. So it's actually available at 70,000, but if you use the code PD Live, you will get it at 29,999 only. Visit the website. There you will get all the important other information related to it. Now moving on, we are also providing optional batches, and the last day to avail discount is tomorrow. There are many optionals such as PSIR, sociology, geography, history, philosophy, public administration and anthropology, along with Hindi Sahitya. Apart from Hindi Sahitya, all other optionals are available with both the things, in both the language, Hindi and English. And this is also available with test series and study material. So if you want to enroll into this, tomorrow is the last date. Use the code PD Live and get it at a discounted price. It is 13,999 only. And if you use the code PD Live, then only you will get it. Otherwise, it will be made available to you at 30,000. So do it as soon as possible. These are the many events that we are going to cover step by step. First, let's talk about lab-grown meat. That is meat that has been grown in labs. Consider the following: food security, less emission; cost-effective, less land use. How many of the above are benefits of lab-grown meat? See, here concept is important. Just think about it. If you're growing meat or in labs, in laboratories, of course, land is not needed. Much less land will be needed. Only the laboratory has to be established. So, of course, there will be less land use as compared to the normal poultry and meat farms that we have. Also, this will ensure food security. Even if we do not have land, because land is a limited commodity, even if we do not have that, we will have laboratories which will ensure such carnivorous diets. So yes, it provides food security as well, because maintaining poultry as well as cattle contributes to what? Greenhouse gas emissions such as methane and carbon dioxide. So when we have it in our labs, it will be reduced. So there is less emission. But the only problem is that it is not cost competitive as compared to the natural meat farms. So third is not a benefit. First, second and fourth, these 3 are. So only 3 will be the correct answer. 3 only will be the correct answer. So why have I asked you this question is because 2 California-based companies were cleared to make and sell cell-cultivated chicken in the country. That is the country of the USA. These 2 companies are Good Meat and Upside Foods. Basically, these 2 companies invested and researched on it. And in order to gain consumer acceptance of these lab-grown meats, they of course got a no questions letter from the FDA. And because of that, consumer acceptance increases, although this is not mandatory there. All right, moving on. How do they process and develop this meat? First, they will isolate cell from the meat that we consume. That is chicken meat or pork or any other meat. So, cell is first of all isolated. Then this cell is put in a setting. In this setting, proper nutrients, fats, carbohydrates, amino acids and other nutrients and right temperature will be provided so that they can develop biologically. This setting is provided in a bioreactor, all right, and it is a sensor fit device that has been designed to support the correct environment to develop meat. And this actually works from cell. From cell we are growing meat. That is why it is known as cellular agriculture. And it takes 2 to 3 weeks to develop, as in once you put it in a bioreactor, another set of meats will be created. These will be minced meat. That is meat that looks like it is cut. So minced meat is created, then it is collected and processed with additives. All right. Although we have to understand that after pork, chicken is the second most widely consumed meat in the world. In the USA, it is chicken. Other things that other meat that is about to be grown in labs on which talks are going on is sea bass, tuna, shrimp, even pork. And 107 companies as of 2021 in 24 countries are working on this, including 2 companies in India. So we can grow our exports through this as well. We can provide carnivorous diet and food security to the carnivorous population. The first country to approve the sale of alternative meat was Singapore. That was in the year 2020. And people who are in favor of developing lab grown meat say that this reduces emissions, land usage is decreased. Other than this, it is also a prevention of animal slaughter, because we just need to grow meat from a cell. So that cell can be, it can be a part of the cycle. So animal slaughter also gets reduced. Also, it provides food security and customization. That is, if you want to customize your meat to be less fatty or healthier in order to contribute to public health, that can also be done. But the cost of cell-cultivated meat is expected to remain high in the future. It is sometimes believed that it will never become cost competitive with the natural meat. Also, another issue is how many consumers are going to accept it. That is also a problem. Moving on, with respect to the National Human Rights Commission, consider the following statements. The President appoints the chairperson and the members of the National Human Rights Commission. The National Human Rights Commission doesn't consist of any ex officio deemed members. The chairperson or any other member of the commission can only be removed from his office by the order of the President on the ground of proved misbehavior or incapacity. How many statements given above is or are not correct? Prelims is nothing but how you read the sentences, how carefully you read the sentences, or how carefully you understand what the sentence wants to say. Prelims is not too difficult, although the recent change in the pattern made it seem difficult. So that is the only issue. Once your concepts are clear and you have the proper knowledge, you can easily pass this examination. It's nothing to be scared of. Please do not listen to anybody who is going to say, please leave this preparation. You are never going to crack prelims. Prelims is very much crackable, and if you have the right strategy and the preparation, you can also do it. Do not worry about that. So yes, the President appoints the chairperson. This is very true. And the members as well of the National Human Rights Commission. And this is done on the recommendation of a committee. The committee which is formed suggests or nominates the name of the members who are supposed to be chairperson or members of the NHRC. This committee consists of the Prime Minister as the chairperson, Home Minister, Leader of the Opposition in the Lok Sabha, Leader of the Opposition in the Rajya Sabha, Speaker of the Lok Sabha, and Deputy Chairman of the Rajya Sabha. Not the Chairman, but Deputy Chairman of the Rajya Sabha. So all this committee which has been formed, then only they will go forward with the recommendation of the names, and hence the President chooses who will be the chairperson and the members. NHRC does have deemed or ex officio members. National Commission for Women's Rights, National Commission for STs, SCs, these are the ex officio members. So this is not correct. First is correct. And here is a play of words. How? The chairperson or any other member of the commission can only be removed. That means can only be removed by the suggestion or order of the President. If I put this word only here, then what happens? That this is the only ground on which the President can remove the chairperson or the member. So it's a play of words. Please be careful about where only is situated. Alright, that is true that the chairperson can, or the other members of the NHRC can be removed only by the order of the President on this particular ground along with other grounds. But if the chairperson or the member is getting removed on this particular ground, Supreme Court's advisory is a must. That means the President must consult the Supreme Court. If the Supreme Court finds that the person is, of course, misbehaving or proved incapacity, then they can be removed. So only one statement is wrong over here. First is correct, third is also correct. One only will be the correct answer. Now recently what has happened, that NHRC became concerned with the suicides that are being, that have been taking place in the prison. Mental illness is one of the most common symptoms whenever a person tries to commit suicide. So we have to ensure that we are getting them the proper services. That is what NHRC is saying, that please ensure that proper vigilance as well as services are available to the prisoners as well, because human dignity should be remaining intact in whatever cases possible. Filling up the, what are the suggestions? Filling up the vacancies and augmenting the staff strength so that more vigilance can be maintained. Training of prison staff and prisoners how to maintain a healthy environment there. Screening their mental health at the admission stage so that if they are showing signs of mental illness, if they are more, they have the propensity to commit suicide, that can be curbed. Supervision and monitoring at risk prisoners, and creating a collaborative framework for mitigation as well. One can collaborate, a prison can collaborate with some NGO in order to ensure that prisoners' mental health is intact. See, many of us might think that once anybody becomes a prisoner, we shouldn't care about them. It is not so. Our justice system is reformative in nature. Human resources are very dear to any country. If you can reform one person through the prison system, through proper reforms in the prison system, then what is wrong over there? We are quick to say, give them capital punishment or kill them. This is not how it's done. First of all, we are nobody to say that one's life should be taken or not. It is the work of the natural supernatural order. Even the judges, they are very careful when they give capital punishment. They do not do it because everybody, even the heinous crime committers, they deserve a second chance. Although it's not very tempting, it sounds very idealistic, but yes, they do deserve a chance. We cannot have any sort of say in somebody else's life. We have right to life and liberty. Once proper justice system has been created, a person, if in the prison, is reformed, then what is wrong in that? We can use that human resource as well. So everybody deserves a second chance. Issue of addiction among other prisoners, because many times it becomes hard to differentiate between the person and the person with addiction. It might actually be the addiction which has caused that prisoner to commit crimes. So this also should be ensured. Compliance with relevant statutory provisions, whatever laws are given. Prison housekeeping, strengthening the visitor system, family visits should be increased so that they can feel a sense of belongingness. Once they feel isolated, it becomes hard for them to look a life beyond prison. And it's hard because of that to get a reformation. So that is also another thing. Improving prison architecture and its environment so that it becomes thriving in nature. Alright, moving on. See, National Human Rights Commission is a public body which was established in the year 1993 on October 12. It is under the Protection of Human Rights Act, which was enacted in the same year, 1993. The complete statutory basis is this, and it is in conformity with the Paris Principles. I can formulate a tricky question that NHRC is in conformation with the Vienna Principles. No. A chairperson should be there who is a retired Chief Justice of India, one member who is or has been a judge of the Supreme Court, one member who is or has been the Chief Justice of a High Court, two persons having knowledge or practical experience in matters which are related to human rights. The President appoints the chairperson on the basis of the recommendation of the committee. I have already told you that. And the chairperson of the National Commission for Minorities, National Commission for Scheduled Castes and Scheduled Tribes, National Commission for Women. These are deemed to be the ex officio members. Section 5 of the Protection of the Human Rights Act talks about removal of the chairperson or the members of the NHRC on various grounds. The President can remove the chairperson or any other member if he is adjudged and insolvent, okay, and this has to be done by the bank. Engages during his term of office in any other paid employment outside the duties of his office, because that creates clash of interest. Is unfit to continue in office by reason of infirmity or mind or body, the hospital. Is of unsound mind and stands so declared by a competent court. Who has to declare it? A competent court, not any medical college or any hospital. Is convicted and sentenced to imprisonment for an offence which in the opinion of the President involves moral turpitude. Additionally, the chairperson or any other member of the commission can only be removed from his office by the order of the President on the ground of proved misbehavior or incapacity. Supreme Court holds a really special place here. After an inquiry, the Supreme Court, if it upholds the cause of removal, then the President can do so. If one travels from north to south of the beautiful country of Egypt, they will come across many important sites. Arrange the below mentioned sites in the correct order of occurrence. Why have I asked you this question? Because the Prime Minister of India is on the second leg of his two-nation tour. First was the United States of America, and then we have Egypt. So that is why this question has been asked, and this is a map-based question. Let us look at that. First, we have the Nile Delta. If we have to move from north to the south, Nile Delta is the delta which is made by the river Nile when it flows or drains into the Mediterranean Sea. Okay, first that. Then we go below, we will find the Gulf of Suez, and this is the Suez Canal, a very important trade route. Then we go further below, we will find the Valley of the Kings, and further on we will find Lake Nasser, which, as you can see, has the Tropic of Cancer going through it. All right, so this is the kind of questions that could be asked. First, of course, we will, from north to south, we have Nile Delta, then we have the Gulf of Suez, then we have the Valley of Kings, and finally we have Lake Nasser. 4123 will be the correct answer. 4123 option C will be the correct answer. Moving ahead, consider the following statements. When the equilibrium, that is the balance in the exchange rate between the rupee and the dollar is disturbed because of homegrown or domestic factors such as inflation or current account deficit, the rupee weakens. That means whenever there is an issue with the domestic policies, if there is too much inflation and there is current account deficit, that creates the weakening of the rupee. When the drivers of change are global factors with money flowing into the US dollar assets, the dollar is said to be strengthening. So you can see this is a negative driver and this is a positive driver, as in the rupee is weakening because of the problems that are negative in nature, such as current account deficit and inflation. Here, the strengthening of the dollar is happening. Why? Not because there is a problem in the domestic policy, but because of the positives of the US dollar assets. All right, because there is more investment that is going there. So first and second, these are the two statements which are definitely correct. So which of the statements given above is or are correct? Both are correct. Both 1 and 2 will be the correct answer. Why have I asked you this question? Because the rupee has depreciated by 8 paisa to 82.05 against the US dollar, tracking a strong American currency. That means there is a strengthening of the dollar. That is why the rupee has weakened. There is more in attraction in the US dollar. Okay, negative sentiments are there in the domestic. First reason is that, but more than that, what is outweighing? That American currency is much valued rather than Indian currency right now. And I have already told you during the question what does these two statements mean. Okay, let's move forward. The Uruguay Round Agreement is related to sports dispute resolution, trade dispute resolution, ICJ dispute resolution, United Nations Convention on the Laws of the Sea dispute resolution. The correct answer is trade dispute resolution. Option B is correct. Why have I asked you this question? Because a very positive news has come that India and the USA, they have decided to end the 6 disputes they were going through at the World Trade Organization. India has also decided to remove retaliatory custom duties on 28 American products such as almonds, walnuts and apples. Because of this particular state visit, a lot has been achieved by India and the USA. That is why it was important to ask this question. Whenever there is a dispute, a member country can file a case in the Geneva-based multilateral body, that is the World Trade Organization we are talking about here. It's based in Geneva, right? If they feel that a particular trade measure is against the general norms that have been, followed by other countries. Bilateral consultation is the first step. Whenever there is a dispute, first we will go through bilateral consultation with both the countries who are having an issue. If bilateral consultations are not working, then either of them, supposedly USA and India, either India or the USA can approach the establishment of a dispute resolution or settlement panel. The panel's ruling or report can be challenged, okay, by the WTO's appellate body, but appellate body is unable to be formed because every country is blocking it, either blocking it or not happy with it. So a dispute is basically arises of a broken promise, and a dispute arises when one country adopts a trade policy measure and takes some action that one or more fellow WTO members consider to be breaking the WTO agreement. If any country breaks the promises or the agreement, then an issue can occur. Or to be a failure to live up to obligation. If a country is obligated to do certain things, if it is not doing it, then also a dispute can arise. A third group of countries can also declare that in an issue between two countries, their issues are also arising. So these are the different bases on which issues can arise. Now, under the GATT, there was a dispute resolution settlement system, but it couldn't work very well with different countries. But the Uruguay Round Agreement introduced a more structured process. It provides greater discipline for the length of time a case has to go on. So it is a time-bound resolution system. It has flexible deadlines as well. Also, it prompts settlement that is essential for the WTO to work properly. So if a case has to run its full course, it has to be 1 year. And 15 months have been provided if appeal is going to take place. The agreed time limits are also flexible. If the case is very urgent, it should be resolved as soon as possible. It also made it impossible for the countries losing a case to block the adoption of the ruling. So if supposedly USA is losing or India is losing, earlier it used to be that they used to block the adoption. Every other country deals under that pressure. But now it has been removed by the Uruguay Round Agreement. Now, consider the following with respect to gene therapy. Fix a genetic alteration underlying a disorder. Turn off a gene that is functioning improperly. Remove a piece of DNA that is impairing gene function and causing disease. How many of the above mentioned are possible through gene therapy? What is gene therapy? Gene therapy means using certain techniques which involves the alteration, removal, addition or impairing of genes. Generally, it is done for genetic diseases because genetic diseases happen when the genes have an issue. So from that perspective, we can see it. So fixing a genetic alteration, if there is alteration which has a disease, that can be taken care of with gene therapy. Turn off a gene, completely turn off the gene's functioning. This can also be done through genetic therapy or gene therapy. Also, through many molecular tools such as Cas9 of CRISPR, there can also be a removal of piece of DNA that was impairing the proper functioning of that gene. So all three are going to be the correct answer, The first gene therapy for a deadly form of muscular dystrophy has received preliminary US approval, and this is the Duchenne muscular dystrophy, which is a rare muscle wasting disease. It causes weakness, loss of mobility and death as well, and it almost affects males. It is sometimes found in females but almost affects males. It is due to the alteration of a protein which is by the name of dystrophin. This is a protein that makes the muscular cell intact. Generally, first it starts at the age of 2 to 3 years. When boys or girls, whomever it is affecting, they are unable to jump or run for a longer period of time, something like that happens. It starts with the core and then finally goes to the limbs. Wheelchair assistance can also be there in such cases. So gene therapy is basically a medical approach that treats the disease by correcting the gene production or gene problem. Techniques which allow the doctors to do so consist of genetic therapy. The earliest method of gene therapy is gene transfer or gene addition. It also introduced a new gene into cell to help fight a disease. So all this can be done. Introduce a non-faulty copy of a gene to stand in for the altered copy. So these are the different, I have already told you this, but still we will go forward with this. New technique, we have CRISPR-Cas9, in which the guide, there are two parts. The guide RNA, which is going to guide Cas9. Cas9 is the protein, which is going to alter the DNA, cut the DNA or add the DNA. So this is CRISPR-Cas9 technology. Guide RNA takes Cas9 to a proper place where the gene is faulty. And then after that, Cas9 comes into the picture. Genome editing is being studied to do different things. And these are the many different things. We have already gone through it. Okay, this is CRISPR-Cas9. Cas9 is the protein and guide RNA is going to take that Cas9, help the Cas9 to do its work over here, and then the faulty gene is replaced and the gene is now healthy. Eye disorders such as Leber congenital amaurosis as well as spinal muscular atrophy, these all get help with the help of gene therapy. Port Tefwik War Memorial was situated in the country of Israel, Iraq, Iran, Egypt. The correct answer is option D, that is Egypt. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will pay his respect at the Heliopolis Memorial in Heliopolis War Cemetery in Cairo. Okay, and these Heliopolis, which was known as Port Tevfik, this was situated, now it is not there, we will tell you that as well. It was replaced by Heliopolis Commonwealth War Grave Cemetery, which is in Cairo. Here is the names of the Indian soldiers who laid their lives during the World War in different wars, campaigns and wars. So there are approximately 3,727 Indian soldiers. In the wars, they went to campaigns such as in Egypt and Palestine. They fell down over there. That is why it has been commemorated. The original Port Tevfik Memorial had been unveiled in 1926. It was situated at the entrance of the Suez Canal. As you can see, here is Suez Canal. Here, somewhere here, it was situated. But now it has been replaced by Heliopolis, which is now situated in Cairo. Because the memorial was destroyed during the Israel-Egyptian War of 1967 by retreating Egyptian soldiers. And then Heliopolis Commonwealth War Grave Cemetery was established in 1980, and hence we have Indian soldiers over there. A very important Indian soldier, Risaldar Badlu Singh, he is commemorated over there, and he also received the highest British War Gallantry Award, Victoria Cross, posthumously, that is after his death. The gatekeeper model recently seen in the news is related to prisons reform, economic offenders reform, juvenile justice reform, or age of consent reform. The correct answer is prisons reform. One of the suggestions that NHRC has made to reform prisons is this gatekeeper model, which was devised by the WHO. In order to strengthen mental health, proper screening should be done of those prisoners who are showing symptoms of mental health. If they are in need of certain medical assistance, they can get it. This idea was first posited by Kurt Lewin, who was a German physiologist and pioneer in social psychology as well. In this model, selected inmates, they are trained to identify prisoners that are at the risk of suicide. That is why it is an important exercise that should be done in every prison in India. Consider the following statements with respect to honorary doctorates. Most recipients of the degree do not use the title of doctor, although there is no rule against its use. That means it could be used. The recipient of an honorary doctorate degree can use it in the same way as in any other substantive degree, except for certain circumstances where a formal academic background is specifically required. So, which of the statements given above is or are correct? Both are actually correct. How? Let's know that. See, recently, Shashi Tharoor has received an honorary doctorate, okay? And that is from the Geneva School of Diplomacy. And it is for his life championing of the United Nations values and Indian democracy, for his prolific and enlightened contribution to literature, for his steadfast defense of the open society and democracy. So it's usually given at traditional graduation ceremony. The recipient often makes a speech, okay? And it can be used in the same way as any substantive degree. But if there is a need of specific academic necessity in somewhere, for example, becoming a professor, there it might not be so much in use. Most recipients of the degree do not use the title of doctor, but there is no legal rule against it. Some historical figures such as Maya Angelou, Billy Graham, and Benjamin Franklin have used the prefix or suffix doctor. Whether the title has been used before or after the name, people typically add honoris causa or HC in parentheses after the degree title, showing that it is an honorary doctorate. If you want the PDF of this class, you can be a part of my Telegram channel. If you want to ask any question about UPSC, you can contact me on my Instagram channel. Thank you so much for watching.